Why, hello. Blair here of Chaos Costumes to teach you more about Nomad, and today we're gonna make cool-ass light switch plates. Yes, I'm engineering things in Nomad. It's 100% possible to make them dimensionally accurate. But without further ado, let's get started.
So, if you remember correctly, last time we made these sick daggers. This time, we're gonna make light switch plates. Yes. My friend Savannah inspired me heavily to pick up this project. We're not going to be making your ordinary light switch plates. No, we're going to make fancy light switch plates. We don't need a sphere right now, but I'm going to keep it. And start with a tube. And then I'm going to rotate that tube 90 degrees. And change the profile to a square. Now that we have this little box here, I'm going to use the grid and the magnet to make it a lot more narrow. Now I'm going to change the radius from 2 points and maybe make it a little narrower. I'm just trying to get the proportions right. And taper one end of it. And now I have the basic shape that I want. Now I want to increase the size of this plate to exactly what it needs to be. And you can do that in Nomad. And since the first primitive that you make is 1 millimeter big, I'm going to turn off uniform scale and change the values. So the z-axis is going to be 116. The x, I think it's the x, I don't know, am I mixing them up, is 114. Now this is the size I want it, but I'm realizing now it's far too thin, like paper thin. I should have made it thicker after I resized it, but that's fine. Where are you? It's like right here. It's like looking at a sunfish. I think I'll go with 4 millimeters wide. I think that is appropriate. Now I'm just going to increase the division of this guy because I want to Boolean it out of itself. To do that well, it has to be a higher topology. So what I'm going to do is just clone it, move it back a little bit, and I have the X-ray turned on so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to add little holes for the light switch plates, and the measurements that I've taken are from actual light switch plates in my very, very accurate scientific method of using calipers and writing down notes in hieroglyphics, essentially. But this is 24 millimeters tall by 10.5 millimeters wide. Now I can just fatten that up and move it to where it needs to go by tapping the arrow and typing in 23 and turning on the symmetry. Now the light switch plates have nice little holes for the switches. Well, they will once I boolean it out. I want to copy the light switch plates that I have and make a nice little border by duplicating that original box, making the OG box a little longer and the frame box a little wider and a little shallower so it doesn't exceed past the front or the back for that matter. And now I want these two things to be joined and booleaned out, but then I realized that I didn't boolean out the holes. So let's fix that. I'm gonna clone that guy, then boolean the pieces together. Take that box out of that mirror and make a new mirror for it. Then I can join those mirrors individually, so I can cut it out. There we go. That's what I wanted. Now we got the beginnings of a light switch plate. Now I'm going to add a cylinder, because we need holes for the screws, right? And I'm going to rotate that by 90 degrees. And then I'm going to change the radius to 2 millimeters, so that the diameter, right? Is that the one? Is 4 millimeters. And I'll just make that a little longer and move that to the side by 23. And then move it down by 30. And then I'll add a mirror on the x-axis and y-axis so it's all 4. And then duplicate that cylinder so I can countersink this screw. So I'll change the radius by 2 points, and I want this other radius to be 3.25. I'll just shrink that down a smidge and make it extend past, so when I do boolean it out, after duplicating what I just did and saving that for later, because once I boolean it out, it's gone forever, and I need this for more plates. And I'll just join just the mirror, and then boolean out those holes from the light switch plate. And there we go. We have a basic light switch plate cover thing. And I'll just join it all together with the Boolean. And I am actually naming my layers before I'm done. Yeah, you got a lot of time in this video. Oh, and we're just, what, 15, 16 minutes in and I'm naming something? Wild. Yeah, that's the double light switch. And it's perfect pretty glory. But now I'm moving on to a different light switch plate. So once again, I'm going to start it with a tube. Rotate that tube by 90 degrees. Change the profile to a square. And this time I'm going to resize it first. Make sure you have numerical input selected to do this, by the way. Now, turn off uniform scale, and the first measurement is going to be 70 millimeters wide, and the height will be the same at 114. And the depth of this guy is going to be 4 millimeters. At least I think it is. I want to make sure this magnet is turned on over here. I can change the radius on the front side to taper it. Now we're going to add a little box. And if I was smart, I would have saved the asset that I made, but whatever. This is 24 millimeters tall. I almost said inches. God, could you imagine? And 10.5 millimeters wide. I'm going to make it wider. And increase the division because I forgot to cut out the middle first. That's important. Just clone that guy. And since I have the X-ray turned on, I can see what I'm doing. Cut it out in the middle here. A smidge smaller. I can Boolean that out. Yes, doing things in the correct order. Now I can take that little square guy and realize I forgot to make a border again. So I'll clone that original box. Get a smidge bigger. And then tuck that in. Now I can make it a little wider so the border is consistent. Boolean those two shapes together, and then Boolean out the hole. Now I can take the little screw hole thing that I saved, move it over, because I didn't keep it in the center, by -23. And add a mirror on the y-axis here. Join those two. And then I'm actually going to Boolean those parts together before I Boolean out the holes. There, we have our second light switch plate that is single. Now I'm going to make one final design, which is a modern, a modern plate for your outlets that has a little square. So it is
6'7"
and 33 millimeters wide. And I'm going to make a clone of that. See, I have a better workflow now. Isn't that great? Frame the... really, I don't even know if I need to do this, but I'm just copying existing light switch plates that I have. And they're old too, so I don't even know if this is, relevant, but I'm just gonna use the other light switch plate to design this, so I don't have to do it again. I just want to Boolean the frame together, and then with this piece, I want to make it a little different. Increase the division and validate it so I can go ahead and globally smooth it so that the corners are a little rounder. Now I can Boolean that out. That's nice and pretty, look at that. Wow. And then I can take my prefabbed screw hole and, I don't know, fix the gizmo. I don't know where the gizmo goes. It must go on vacation or something. And return this to the center. Since I moved it so accurately with little arrows, it's a lot easier. For some reason, I did not capture how far I moved them up. I will put on the screen how far I move them. Yes, that is how far. And I'm just adding a mirror and Booleaning that out. And I'll name this my square plate. Now that I have all of my light switch plates and outlet plates done, we're getting to the fun part. The fancy part. The part that my friend provided me reference pictures of. And I don't know why this is upside down. Let's rotate that because we're gonna make this. Yeah, we're gonna make that whole ass thing. It's gonna be great. But yeah, it looks like it lines up pretty good. Very nice. But I don't need that as a reference. I just need a simple box to start sculpting details individually so we can assemble everything. Because believe it or not, she made this out of hot glue and molds. Isn't that wild? I mean, paint was a necessary tool, but But I'm gonna change the overlay opacity of this reference picture so I can increase the topology and look at what the heck I'm doing. How I plan on doing this is using the paint tool with stroke smoothing turned all the way up so I can paint the silhouette of what I'm trying to do. Now I can move the reference picture over and refine this a little bit, but it doesn't really need to be super accurate. I just want to make sure I get the proportions right for the next step. And it involves a tube. And I'll clean up the silhouette of this tube a little bit. I'm going to go in with the profile and just change, well, the profile to make it a lot more interesting looking. And now that I'm looking at it, can't see it. So I'm just going to rotate this profile till I can. Asked if I could see what it was doing, right? Is this the one? Nope. Can't see it. Nope, it's still on the side there. Alright, this way. Oh, you see, that would make sense. Up is up? Wow. Wild. A novel concept. I can go in and increase the division to smooth it out a little bit, and I can start changing the radius. And if I change the radius one more time, I can really refine it and make these nice little curves on the end here. Now, I want to save this profile as a preset, so I'm just going to add him and keep drawing more tubes. Filigree is pretty much oops all tubes. You just keep assembling tubes till you're happy. The first time I practiced this was with my potion bottles that I made to figure that out. I want this little tippy-doo to kind of start from the middle of this guy. Well, hi, whoa, calm down. I'm fucked with the profile. Let's change it so I stop doing that. This little show button up here is what I'm using. And what I'm gonna do to make more tubes easily is just clone a tube with the gizmo. Just push and pull everything around until you're happy. I'm gonna insert a cylinder to this end here. To add a little spiral guy at the end of the filigree. I don't know what it's called. I'm just gonna taper it a smidge and move it to where it needs to be. And then curl that tube around it more effectively. You can turn off the merge to the points when they get closer, just so you're not destroying your tube when you want finer details, especially when you're zoomed out. Yeah, I'm pretty much just duplicating those tubes that I made until I'm happy. And look at how nice that looks already. Like, it's not hard, but it's not easy. But I want to add more interest to some of these leaves here. So I'm gonna make the profile super wiggly. Now I have more fluting. That looks pretty cool. And I don't want that for all of them though, but just some. However, I'm gonna save this preset just so I have it in my toolbox for later. And then maybe this one will be kind of bowed in the middle, less sharp. I don't know, trying to make it interesting. And I'll save that preset too. What do I want this one to be? That one. That seems nice. That one? Let's go with this one. Yes, very good. And this little guy, let's change it up to the wiggly guy. I want this to tuck in a little bit so it's more wavy on the ends here and less pointed. So I'm just going to push that in. Now I'm just going to steal the leaves and push them over here because I want to add a little bump out detail here. I'm trying to replicate the reference as close as I can. Yeah, that's close enough. I'll just duplicate that shape and add more leaves? Flourish? I don't know what to call it. Cool stuff. Details. And I'll bump this out by looking at it from the top. So we have the little detail, and I'll just keep adding leaves to this flourish. I'm sure you get the gist by now, honestly. I'm gonna add another one of these little guys to this curve here. Yeah, isn't this like interesting? I don't know. I think it's interesting. That filigree, however complex and intimidating it looks, it's just oops all tubes, and you can pretty much make anything you want. Now, I am sick and tired of like peeking around this thing, so I'm just gonna trim around it so I can see what I'm actually doing. Now, I'm going to reduce the faces on that cylinder now that I noticed. And I do this fun little trick of subdividing so I can smooth those corners out easier. And then use a smooth operation to make it nice and rounded. Now I'm just at it again, adding tubes. Tubes for days. I should have seen my first attempt at filigree. It was, I wouldn't say it was bad, but it was a cumbersome process. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make a silhouette of the filigree and then I can sculpt on top of it. I don't even know how I did it, but it doesn't look bad, but it wasn't fun to do. Actually, no, probably at the time I was having a ton of fun. I'm like, look what I can do, yay! But honestly, I've gotten a lot better at it over time. I just want to make this as pretty as possible and just keep adding tubes. Literally, that's all I'm doing is adding tubes. I don't even know what else to tell you at this point. But I also want to show my process. Where the hell did my reference picture go? It's because I locked the camera and the gizmo and stuff, and I lost my reference by doing that. Hello, where'd you go? And it's here. I don't know where it went, but it's here somewhere. But I just reset the settings and I found it again, so that's nice. I can just put it back over here. Yeah, it turns out when you lock your gizmo, it also locks where the reference picture is, which is super great and super awesome if you're using that reference picture by overlaying and stuff, but I'm not. I just want to look at it from the side here. So this like filigree and Baroque stuff is really my jam. Like this project took a very long time compared to most of my videos. It's something that I really wanted to do. And so I put a lot of energy into it. I probably spent like a whole day like sculpting this, honestly. Which in the grand scheme of things, like it's not that bad because something like this would have taken me analog time, like I don't know, weeks, maybe even a month. So I like the digital aspect of it. It makes my like idea to creation ratio higher in the creation department. Because before this, it took me forever, absolutely forever to finish anything. So this is really nice, honestly. I don't know what I would do without Nomad at this point in my life. Yeah, it's really coming together. Delicious.
Nice.
And look at how many tubes there are. There's so many. I'm just gonna take all of this nonsense with the select tool and join them. And there we go. Now there's less tubes. And I'll decimate this because it's huge after combining everything. And now I'm just going to voxel remesh it together because I want to combine these components more cohesively. Just smoothing that down, making it seem like it's one piece. It's really nice to be able to combine primitives and then make them this whole thing, but I don't like how this leaf is overlapping and I don't want to go back and fix it. So I am just going to sculpt on top of it. Just going with the clay tool and subtract that little piece right here and then add back what I flattened so it looks a little better. Smooth that out a smidge. It's not as clean and perfect and wonderful as it could have been if I paid attention to my primitives, but you know what? This is going to be so small, you won't even notice. Honestly, I probably could have just kept it and still not notice, but I am particular. I can just carry on with smoothing stuff around. It's one spot. I'm just trying my best to make it look not super bumpy and lumpy. Now I can go back and smooth out these egregious sections here. And I want these little flappy doos to look a little better, so I'll move around. Yes, flappy doos. Very official term. There's probably like a few things I would change, but honestly, very pleased with this design. Now I can take this and double check that it looks decent, marginally proportional. Go back and start working on more details like this center bit, which will be a lot easier. I'm going to move this box back to the center because I trimmed off some corners. Place it pretty much in the middle because I'll be using my symmetry. Trying my best to rotate this with my fingies and it's just snapping back vertically. So I know how to fix this and I can just rotate it with this menu down here. Haha. Now I can paint the silhouette so I can map out where I want my components. Now that I have the roadmap, I can turn off the overlay, scooch my reference off to the side here so I can see what the heck is going on. And start building out the filigree like I did the other piece, but much easier because it's symmetrical.
Moves are the way of the future.
Seriously, this is so much easier than the other one because it was asymmetrical and there was a lot of details. This one is just like a little, I don't know, like a plant and a potter. One leaf? I don't know. I just want to make sure I increase the division of everything so it's nice and smooth. And for the centerpiece, I'm actually going to add a tube through the primitive so it's nice in the middle of the scene. Pull that forward so I can actually see it. Make it bigger. And lock to the front with the grid, turning off the snapping to surface. So it's just snapping to the grid. And changing the radius so it's this nice taper. And I'll add another little node down here so I can change the radius to give it that rounded end at the bottom. I want the front of this little doodad to curve up. So I'm just going to bend that tube. And round it out nicely. And increase the division to smooth it out a bit. Now that I have this basic shape, we can change the profile to something that aligns better with the design. I don't know why it comes out sideways. This is what happens when you add primitive this way. So I'll just rotate it till it's right. And this little piece has a crest in the middle, so I'm going to add that little detail with the profile. Now, it's this nice little thing that's perfect, or what I'm wanting. I'm gonna just mess with the nodes to get it sitting just right. Pull it out a little bit and tuck it in and tell it goodnight. And I'm gonna add a sphere for this next detail. I was trying to figure out how to make like little rope texture, and honestly, it's just a squish sphere with an array, right? I'm just gonna move it down and over and add an array repeater. Get it about as wide as the design and just, well, repeat it. And then I'll join those two. And since it's not perfectly in the center, I'm actually going to change the pivot so it is centered. And then move origin under the gizmo and then bring it back so it's perfectly centered. Now, I want this design to be a little deeper, so I'm going to move my reference cube back a little bit and start messing with all of these tubes and changing the profile so they are a little deeper. It's funny that I can pull it down far past the viewport window thing. And you can zoom out of what you're doing. Just want to make sure I got it all. I like this rope thing a little deeper too. Now I'm just going to add the bottom tuft down here. I'm changing the profile to this sharp-pointed middle guy. Yes, that's what we're going to call it. And of course, I picked a profile that isn't deep enough, but whatever. I'll fix that. And then I'm going to use this centerpiece that I've already made and just drag it down and rotate it. Ta-da! I have the middle piece. Just done. Just kidding. Let me make it smaller. I don't need it to come out like this, so we'll remove those points and make this more similar to the rest of the little taily bits. I want to make this bottom butt of this, I don't know, plant thing smoother, so I'm going to change the profile to be modified by 2 points and change up the 0, whatever that is, point. And then on the 8th point, just make it nice and round and smooth. Make sure these little ends are nice and sealed. And no one will notice, but I will, fixing this inner bit here. You must touch down here. Thank you. There we go. This one was much easier. So I'll just take all this nonsense and join it. And boolean it together. So now we have 2 filigree pieces. Oh yeah, I should name this one. And give this center one a name, which is center filigree. I don't know what else to call it. Something, so I can identify it later. So now that we have our filigrees, it is lion time. So we're gonna do this the same way we did the filigrees, where I trace the silhouette of what I kind of want it to be. And realize I don't have to make it tiny like this. I could make the reference a lot bigger, or... and it doesn't have to be perfect, or pretty, or great. It just has to be done. Now that I have the basic silhouette correct, I'll just put that reference off to the side and start sculpting. I'm gonna bring back the sphere. Hi, sphere. Where are you, my friend? You must come here and help me make a lion. And how I'm gonna build this lion is just slap together a whole bunch of primitives and then sculpt on top of it. So it will enter a cursed phase at first. And I'll just duplicate our handy dandy sphere and make that boy a chin. And then I'll insert more spheres because I don't need them to be in the middle of the scene. Add a mirror to that to give his little lip situated. And I'm giving him some eyebrows or eyeballs. Well, no, I'm not giving him eyeballs. There's balls above his brows. I don't know. Anyway, adding this detail. It's so interesting how my brain works. I can like deconstruct parts in my brain, like, oh, this is this and this is that. Like, I feel like that's not normal. I don't think everybody's brain works like this, but mine sure does. And then giving him his little nose ridge, and it looks very interesting. If I didn't add his little eyebrows, it would look even more interesting, I'm sure. And then I'll use a torus to make his little ears and change the radius with the menu so I can make him a little thicker. Maybe not that thick. And then start working on the mane with what? Tubes! Yes, tubes are very great for hair. And knives. Pretty much, I'm in love with the tubes. Sorry. I'm gonna make this profile a little less consistent, so it's more organic. So symmetry is not ideal in this situation, but we will be fixing it after we at least block it out a little bit. Spider lion does whatever a spider lion does. Realizing that in order for it to look good, I need to make this taper not like a hair, pointy hair, but like to floof it out a little bit. I'll just go in and increase the division of my nonsense here. Just so when I do sculpt on top of it, it's nice and smooth. Turn off the snapping so I can go under his face. And make his mane a little bit more inconsistent in the profile department. So when I do sculpt it, I don't have to do as much work. So now that I have almost finished the cursed phase of this lion, I will join the mirror of all of the main pieces so I can move it around. And I turned off symmetry so I can sculpt it more organically. Because there is a time and place for symmetry, but this is not it. And I'm gonna use these eyebrow balls to make inner ears for him. So I'll squish that down. And it's not bad, but I want them to be a little bit concave. I'm just gonna solo this little guy, use the move tool to kind of disc it out a little bit. That makes me happy. I can go back in and keep fixing the mane. I'll go in with the face and start carving out eye sockets before I glue everything together. I'll just remesh his face together and start sculpting on top of it. Just going back and forth with the move and the clay tool. The smooth tool also. So there's a reason why people sculpt at a low topology and then go up. I don't know why I don't do that, but I'm just gonna give this lion some eye orbs with the insert tool and mirror it. I was like, wow, he has eyes now. Now that I have his face more lion-y, I can make him look a little better. I don't like his proportions. His head needs to be a little taller, I think, and wider. Now he's looking a lot better. So I can fix the mane so he doesn't have like a bald patch in the front of his head and kind of fix the, I don't know, remove the symmetry. Now that I'm marginally happy with the mane, I can remesh it all together, start sculpting and smoothing on the top. So I'll just go in with the clay and some track and make it more, well, hair-like. And I'll go in with the crease tool to really punch in that detail. And his chin doesn't have the right amount of floof to it, so I'll fix that too. Really define his lips, as it were. Now that I'm happy with him for the most part, I'll combine his eyes and all of the other pieces to finish off this lion. I'll just boolean him together. And give him a name. What shall we name Lion? We're gonna name him Lion. And I'll decimate him down a little bit so he's not like 1.4 million vertices. And I believe we have all of our components. Like, yeah, the bottom lion is a roaring lion. I'm not gonna make another lion. Sorry, guys. I'm just duplicating the base box so that I can boolean out the box from behind. Well, it looks like I sculpted on top of the box, but we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen by smoothing that down. And looks like there's a little gap behind the ears, so I'm just gonna go in with front-facing vertex only in the planar and just fill that in like that. And that's not bad. Now we can save this, just in case it crashes. It shouldn't, but I'm paranoid. And start cutting out the back of our filigree, just so it's nice and neat back there. I'll just scooch this filigree over to the box, pay no mind to the tracing of the lion, and I'm just going to fix this box before I use it as a cutting tool with the planar tool, and boolean that out of the back of the filigree. And I'm noticing back here, it's not perfectly level, and I'm not going to go in and fix each individual piece because I've already joined everything and smoothed it. So I'm actually going to go select mask and front-facing vertex toggled so I can get all of this. Turn it around, see if I caught anything, and I did. So we'll remove that. But I didn't catch a lot, it seems like. I'll just invert that mask and just pull it out with a gizmo. Make it thicker. And fix this guy again, because, you know, I didn't copy the one that was fixed. Fix that guy, yeah. You know, I could have just cloned the fixed one, but no. I could take our long filigree and cut out the back, but remove the mask first. Very important. Now we can cut out the bag. There we go, nice and smooth back there. And we'll do the same thing with this guy too, but we're gonna preemptively mask off the back and lengthen it, but also like getting rid of the mask here. I don't want a mask in the front. Now I can invert that mask and use the gizmo to pull it out and thickify it. Clear that mask. I'm gonna remesh this together first, just so it booleans out nice and cleanly. I'll boolean out that final box. Very nice. I'll decimate this so it's not enormous. Give it a name. And that one seems to have lost its name. If I have named it, I don't remember, honestly. But it's long filigree. The final thing you click on is the name it will soak up, but I am lazy and I don't pay attention to that. So here we are dealing with the consequences of my own actions. Now we have all of the components and the light switch plates. So what's next? You guessed it, boys and girls. It is assembly. The fun part, the easy part. So this beautiful light switch plate that we have created, we're gonna start adding our components. So I'll start with the lion. I'm making copies of everything, so I keep my original assets. And we'll go in with the filigree. And what I like about my friend Savannah's design, since she made it out of molds and hot glue, is that it's a lot of repeating patterns, so I don't have to keep making stuff. I can just smash it down on there. I'll do a mirror so I can see it on both sides without extra work. Just duplicate this down and around. And I'm just changing the pivot as needed. And now to add the center filigree. And duplicating that center filigree and rotating it downwards. It looks like she just cut off the end of it. It's insane how creative she is. Like, she is so metrically talented. Like, as a photographer and a set designer and a home decor person. I don't know, man. Oh, and did I say painter? Yeah, she's done realism painting. She's absolutely crazy in regards to how talented she is. It's pretty awesome. I'm really happy to be able to collaborate with her. Like, we are inspired by the same vibe. And oh my goodness, what did I done? What have I done? It's not perfectly in the center. How did that even happen? It's because I rotated it. So fine, I'll fix it. Make sure this gizmo is in the center. Then I should be able to rotate it. And it's nice and in the middle. Now I can trim it off symmetrically. There we go. That's all I wanted. I'll just smooth out that cut a little bit. Now for the final detail is lion 2.0. I'll just scooch that down and I'll shrink it because I'm not making another lion. Sorry, you can figure it out. Like, if I didn't do all the filigree and the light switch plates and everything else, yeah, I would totally render a open mouth lion, but I don't want to. So looking at the back here, things clipped inside of the light switch plate, which is not a big problem, but I am just gonna move everything up a little bit. Now that we have the double plate, I'm gonna save that small long filigree before I join everything and join the mirror first. I'll copy the big lion and the little lion, just so that everything's at the same scale. Hide them and select everything and join them. And of course, since I didn't carefully select my final piece, I have to name it again. Now onto the single light switch, and I do have a reference for that. So we'll go in, and I just needed the big lion and the small lion and the filigree. And I'll add a mirror so I can see what I'm doing. Bone that down. Show our lovely lion. And our little guy. And I'll combine all of that. Now we have our single light switch plate. See, once you make the assets, you can just keep reusing them over and over and over again. Now for this guy, the final design. It's pretty simple. It's just 4 pieces of filigree. So we'll just place them. And I'll add a mirror modifier to that and swing this down to the mirror modifier. And I want to make sure it's not cresting past that opening. Based on what I'm looking at, it pokes out a smidge, and I don't want my design to inhibit that. Now that I have everything that I like, I'll join that mirror, join everything together, keep the name, see if it works, and hey, it did. Yeah, as the last thing you select is the name, it picks up. Now I have everything done. Now let's slice this bad boy. And slicing it's gonna be way easier than sculpting it. Let's take all of this nonsense, hit no, because they are individual pieces. And I just want to rotate them, I know, at least 45 degrees, so I get the best print quality. Take each individual piece and notice that it has 790 non-manifold edges, so let's repair that. And And I'll scooch this bag. And then repair this one. It's only 209 non-manifold edges. And scooch that over. And this guy, he's only 191 non-manifold edges. That's because I just joined everything. I didn't boolean it or anything. So it does weird stuff. I'll scooch that over a smidge. Take these two pieces and push them forward so that support doesn't build in front of the fancy double plate. Got a little bit of room up here. And I'll just go in and start pinning supports. I want to make sure these top edges are supported. This will probably sag if I don't. And to improve stability, I'm actually going to make a little support line up and down here. I'll just erase little lines through here because the support doesn't need to be solid here. It's just there to improve stability as it prints. Just because this is a pretty large print. Well, actually, it's not that large of a print, but it's large enough. And I want to paint along the bottom here, so it has the best chances of success. Anything that sticks out or is upside down like this, I'll put support on. Then I realize maybe this is not the best plan. So I'll just undo all that. Get rid of this nonsense. Because I think it would be best if I actually rotated it pretty much 180 degrees. Rotate it back like this, so that it starts printing from the top, because there's a less going on down here. Or up there? Yes, up there. Let's correct my initial paint job here. And then I can go along the bottom or top of this part, so it's nice and supported. And paint the inside of these guys so they are nice and supported. There we go, that's a lot better. Mostly I want it to hug at least where it first starts printing so it doesn't crack off before it gets, you know, to the good part. Make it more solid. There we go. That's better. Now these guys will be a lot easier. Just paint support underneath this lip. Along the space here. Make sure those are nice and cradled. And this final guy, pretty much the same gist. Looks like I didn't tuck it in under here, but we're just not going to notice that. Not look at it. No one will care. No one will see it. It's for reinforcement. Yes, it is for reinforcement. I did it on purpose. Just painting support along the bottom here. So it has the best chance of success. And we'll slice it and see what it looks like. And it does support up here, but this angle is a little sketchy and probably won't fail, but I don't want it to wiggle or get any layer lines. So I'm going to give these little plates the special treatment of just adding a little bit of support along the back here. So it's a little less sketchy. Just little braces so it doesn't crack off the build plate as it's trying to print. Now we can slice it, and this looks a lot better in regards to printing safety, and it looks pretty good to me. Let's print this and hope for the best. I think it's going to succeed. It's so simple compared to everything else I've done.
So what I'm showing is the one that I screwed up that's like a hair, maybe half a millimeter too small. I told you guys 67, but I think I increased the size by like 66.8 or some crazy stuff. And that worked just fine. This is what I had on hand. Otherwise, everything is still on my wall because I kind of like them. They kind of give me a lot of dopamine. This project took a long time, but I had a lot of fun doing it. That's why this video is like very long compared to my other ones, because I spent a lot of time sculpting it. I hope you guys can see this. I'm pretty sure it's obvious. But yeah, it was like really burnt out from vending an event as Anime Milwaukee, and I was just like, still gotta make a video. But I did it, and on time, which is wild. Schedules really make a difference for me. Just so that you're aware, I do release my files on my Patreon. That's the boon of joining it. So if you like the files that I'm creating, I release the files to all the members, essentially. I do have a big old Chongo tier that has like everything on it from the past. If somebody joins that, I will make sure to upload everything into a folder and then like send that folder out so that you have access to everything. For now, I'm so new to Patreon. Nobody's joined that big old Chongo tier, so if you do, don't worry, I'm paying attention and making posts about stuff. A special thanks to these people that actually joined. That is very nice of them, especially that I barely have my shit together by like a hair. You can join my Patreon for free, but you don't get any cool stuff out of it. But for the low price of free $99, you can like this video if you like what you see and you made it to the end. Congratulations! If you have any ideas or words of encouragement or anything along those lines, leave a comment down below. And if you really like what I do and you haven't already, please subscribe. Every little bit counts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.